crowned at 10x Coder Kids and an official Guinness record holder for the youngest computer programmer in the world. And today you are gonna be learning our lists. So without any delay, let's get started. Alright, so in the last video, we learned about vectors. Vectors are basically lists that contain one data type elements. So for example, I can have a vector of strings, numbers, booleans, etc. But in lists, what's the difference? The difference is that in lists we can have multiple data type values, like we can have strings, numbers, and booleans together in one list. So let's see how we can create a list. For example, I create a variable my list, right? And I say equals to, and then I have to use the list function to create my list. In this, I can give like apple, and this is a string. If this was a vector, we only could have string values in the vector. But this is a list, so I can also have number values like 520, and we can also have boolean values in the same list. For example, true. When I try to print my list, what will we get? We will get apple, 520, and true. We get apple, we get 520, and we are getting true. As you can see, this is showing that on the first index we have the value apple, on the second index we have the value 520, and on the third index we have the value true, right? Okay, so next we are gonna learn how to basically access specific elements of a list. So example, I want to access the value that is on the second index of my list, that is 520. If I want to access that from my list, what will I do? What I'll do, I'll give this square brackets over here, and apple is on index 1, 520 is on index 2. So because it's the second item, or we can say it's on index 2, we will give 2 over here to access 520. And when we print my list, when we are accessing index 2 of my list and printing that, we'll get 520. Alright, very cool, right? We can also change the items in a similar way. Like if I want to change the value 520, I can just give my list 2 and equals to, and we can say 500. So now 520 will be changed to 500. If we print my list, we will get apple, 500, and true. We're getting apple, 500, and true, right? So we can also see the length of the list using the length function in R. So if we say length, and we give it our list whose length we want to take out, so basically it will give us the length of that list. So we have 3 elements in the list, so it will give us 3. So on the screen we will get 3. Alright, so these were some basics. Now let's move on to the next topic. So next, what we're gonna see, like for example, I want to check if apple is in my list. So what do I do, right? So how to do that? So let's remove this and this, and over here we are just gonna say, if you want to check if apple element is in my list, so we are gonna say apple. Then what we are gonna do, we are gonna have this modular percentage sign, or you can say the modulus sign. I'm gonna say in, giving one more modulus sign, and we're gonna give our my list. So what this will do, it is checking if apple is in my list. If it is in my list, then it will give us true. If it is not in my list, then it will give us false. Because it is in my list, it is giving us true right now. Alright, if I would have checked banana, then it would give us false because banana is not in my list. If we check 500, then it will give us false because 500 is not in my list. 520 is there in my list. What if we check 1? We are getting false. Alright, pretty cool. If we check true, then we'll get true because true is in my list. Alright, so you get the point, right? So next we are gonna see how to add an element in my list. So we'll use the append function that is there in our built-in function. So we're gonna say append. Then we're gonna say in which list do we have to append. So we're gonna say in my list we want to append. Then we are gonna say what do we want to append. We're gonna append orange, and over here if we print my list now, we're getting apple 520 true. Okay, so using the append function, it is already printing my list. Alright, so it's returning us. So append is basically returning us a new list, apple 520 true and orange. So append is returning us a new list with apple 520 true and orange is added in the end. So we to change my list, we can just override my list and then print my list later. So we'll get apple 520 true and orange, right? Pretty cool. But as you can see, it's in the end. For example, I wanted after the second index. Then what to do? So basically, there's an after attribute, and if we say 2, so it will basically put orange after the second index. That is, now we'll get apple 520 orange and then true, right? So the second index is 520, and after that it is putting in orange. So apple 520, and then after that it is putting orange. That then we'll get orange, and basically in the end we'll get true. So our list is apple 520 orange and true. Very, very, very cool. Let's move on to the next topic. Okay, so because we are on the topic of appending, let's see how to join two lists. So for example, I have my list and then I have my list 2. And we're gonna say list, and we're gonna say, for example, banana orange in this, right? And we want to combine these two lists. So what we are gonna use, we are gonna use the C function that was originally used to create vectors. We can also use the C function to append these two lists. So example, I can say my list 3, and I can say C function, and I can say my list and my list 2. And when I print my list 3, basically we're gonna get a list that will be the appended version of so basically my list and my list 2 elements will be there in my list 3, and when we print my list 3 we'll get apple 520 true, banana and orange, right? So this is how you can append two lists. Alright, so now we are gonna see how to remove an element from the list. For example, I want to remove an element from my list 3. Let's do -1. I want to remove the first element. When we are giving -1 in between the brackets, this is basically saying that bring in all the elements that are there in the list instead of the first element, right? So this will bring in all the elements that are there in the list instead of the first element. So this will return a new list. So we're gonna say my list 3 equals to this to override my list 3, because my list 3 -1 returns a new list. Next, if we print my list 3, then we will get the appended version of these two, but apple will not be there as we have removed it. So you'll get 520 true, banana orange, right? Pretty cool, right? So let's move on to the next topic. Right, so let's move on to the next topic. If you want to take out a range of elements basically from our list, like from my list 3, if I want true, banana and orange at the same time, so we're gonna use range for that. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna say my list 3, because from my list 3 we want to take out true, banana and orange, and we're gonna say from 3, so true is on the third index, so from 3 till 5, and note both are inclusive. So if I'm giving 3 and 5, elements between 3 and 5 will be there, and 3 and 5 index elements will also be included. What I mean over here, for example, I've given 3 and 5 over here, so elements between 3 and 5, that is banana will be included, and Index 3 element and index 5 element will also be included. So these values that you give over here, both indexes are inclusive, right? So true will also be there and orange will also be there. So my list 3 to 5 will contain true, banana and orange, right? So I can either make like my list 4 out of this, right? Or I can only have a my list 3. I can override my list 3. I can do whatever I want to do, right? So this was how you can access basically a range of items from your list. And for example, if you want to loop through the items, what you're gonna say, we're gonna say for x in my list 3, and basically you can print x. So this will basically act, what this will do, how this is how you can loop through lists. So this is basically saying access every element in my list 3 one by one and print it. That's what this loop is actually doing. So it accessed first apple, then it printed apple, then it accessed 520 and it printed 520, then it accessed true and it printed true, and it went on so on, right? So this was it guys for the video. I hope you guys like the video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos.